So that's the part number for the block heater. It's not available aftermarket. So that's what it looks like. There's GM ones that look similar to that. So I'm going to measure the core size, the core plug size, and see if there's anything else that'll fit in there. But regardless, oh, it's got a snap ring on there. That's interesting. Anyways, that's the block heater. I've got some taper taps and bottoming taps, 8 mil by 1.25, and I noticed that I can use a 7 mil ratcheting box end wrench on them. So I've also got some good quality drill bits, 17/64 drill bits. I don't know where those went. They're in here somewhere. Yeah, 17/64 drill bit. I might have to cut this off to use the angle drill. This one's fluted. I kind of don't like that because they don't tend to slip in the chuck. I'd rather have it slip in the chuck than snap off in the hole, and then trying to get the piece of drill bit out would be a pain in the ass. So we're going to attempt to fix these threads on the engine rather than taking that whole turbo assembly off. Success. So I'm going to put a stud and a nut in the top. I've got those bolts threads fixed. The one closest to me here on the top I had to drill out. The other two I just ran a tap through. Change the block heater, reuse the block heater cord. New block heater doesn't come with a new cord from Ford. And I'm going to use a nut and a stud. I've got a stud threaded in there, so I'm going to notch the upper ear on the new catalytic converter so that I can just slide it up there. Let's get this thing together. So I'm going to show you where that top bolt is, access on the top of that catalytic converter. You can see that ear on the transmission. There's the bolt back inside there. I got about a 12-inch extension in there. That's why I put the socket and extension on there before, but you can actually get it on. But that's where it is. So there's the new converter installed. I used conventional bolts down here because I had them, and I used a stud at the top. Take this little bracket off because you can't get it in there with that bracket past the power steering gear, and bolt it up to the turbo and tighten it up there before tightening these bolts. Leave this loose back here so we can put the rear drive shaft on easier. We have to change this turbo wastegate solenoid. Where is it? Right here. Have to change that turbo wastegate solenoid for another problem. Look at this nipple on here, it's pretty rusty. Well, let's continue. Well, there's the bottom end all back together. All the heat shields back in place, the power takeoff unit back in place, the right drive axle in place, ball joint back together, new nuts on here, cross member in place. So we're going to reassemble the top end now. Well, there it is, back together and running. What a job. We've got to run it till it's up to temperature and purge the air out of the cooling system, and then clear the fault codes from any of the controllers, although the battery's been disconnected, so there shouldn't be any fault codes. That was interesting. So I just took this thing for a road test, and I see the catalyst monitor is complete. It's running good. Let's see if there's any pending codes. Survey says intake air sensor circuit high input. Isn't that part of the mass airflow sensor? Oh, maybe I had the key on. Oh, that's a pending code, so let's go into engines and look at that data for the intake air temp.
Should be under engine management, I would think. I think the intake air temp sensor is part of the mass airflow sensor. And you know it's plugged in. Ambient air, 41 Fahrenheit. That's not intake. Cylinder E, F, intake air temperature 2.89 volts. What's that in Fahrenheit or Celsius? Well, I'm going to drive this tomorrow, take it to town and back. Intake air temperature is 59. That's reasonable. It's running in the, just came in from outside. Well, let's clear all the codes. Drive it tomorrow and see how it is.